speaking now of iconic, Kill Bill.
Yeah,
We'll talk about both ones right through here.
The body count goes way up in these ones.
Man, like Jackie Brown, I think 4 people die.
Yeah.
It's Ordell, Lewis, Melody, and the guy in the trunk, I think, was Chris Tucker. Shout out to Chris Tucker. And then this movie, wow, when I watched it again recently, it opens in a really kind of scary way.
Yeah.
She's on the ground, teeth kicked in, blood on her face, in a bride's veil.
And gives you so much sympathy for her right off the bat. Brilliant move there.
Oh,
and then,
man.
While we're on the subject of violence right now, that black and white scene, oh my, that was one of the best action scenes that I've ever seen.
Anything that has to do with an eyeball, I just go, oh no. Oh, jeez. I gotta shake off a little bit with this.
It's a masterpiece.
How are we gonna talk about this? Because it's tough. It opens really well with her on the ground, and then great music with Bang Bang. I was 5 and he was 6, and it's like such a great little like kind of tragedy, and it goes right into an amazing fight scene between her and
Viper, isn't it?
It must be Viper. I'm gonna put a description for the fake character's name,
yeah.
But the target, and that's such a great scene, and it's like, and then she's got a kid that comes in. I love the
cereal box.
Oh
Kaboom
man,
cereal.
when they're like discussing, they're gonna have a knife fight, and it's like, oh yeah, here we go, and then it's like really funny, really funny, and then it's one of those things where it's again where you have to focus on the stuff that's going on around,
details,
and it's when a director does that, they get you to pay attention to everything around them and not just what they're saying.
They don't give you a chance to not focus on the movie. You're just drawn in from the beginning.
A good director will make you pay attention to everything that's going on around them. There's some really great films where everything in the background is what's to be focused on.
Usually I don't like flashbacks either. So when it already said that she had killed... I'm blanking right now.
It's O-Ren Ishii.
Oh, thank you.
She's the one person I kind of really remember in the first film in terms of the target.
Just as soon I was like, oh, this is going to suck. And then I completely forgot about that. I was like, is she going to make it?
Yeah.
And just, you forget about it, and then you're like, oh, and now that, that makes more sense.
It doesn't cheat. It's like, we know she's going to make it, but, first, we don't go to their fight. We go to her in the hospital with, I forget, Mountain Snake, where she's about to go and inject her. And...
Twisted Nerve is the whistle riff there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
There you are.
Twisted Nerve, ladies and gentlemen.
I had that one stuck in my head for 2 weeks. Funny story, I went to my university drama class, and I started whistling that, and then the whole class got infected.
Did they know what it was from, or did they just start whistling?
Half of them did, and the other half were just mad, because now they got this stuck in their head.
Oh, that's actually kind of funny. Oh, wow. And that's a great setup too, like with the whole Buck, and it's like when she drives up in the front, she's got the car, it's Pussy Wagon. I'm just like, what? Why? And then all of a sudden you see, okay, and it's again good thing with side characters. You know about these people.
Yeah.
She takes the car, and I love the flashback. I saw in an interview, or when he went to Comic-Con, Tarantino and the people for Hateful Eight, a young girl came up and asked. She's obviously an anime fan. She loves the style of the animation that was done for Kill Bill. I do too. And I'm not an anime fan. And,
wow. If that doesn't break your heart too.
Yeah.
Just...
Again, it makes you care about these people that she has to kill and understand where they're coming from.
You understand the villains. It's not the classic action hero where it's like, oh, I'm good guy, go kill bad guy. It's, wow, I kind of feel sorry that this person died this way.
But then and then it gets to the point where it's not about what a person, like, where they come from that matters. No. It's a matter of fact of what they did. And that is what drives this whole revenge thing. If it's easy for somebody to say, oh, but she was just, her parents were killed right in front of her, and then she had to turn into a child prostitute to...
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse to...
It might give you some sympathy, and that's completely human, but that doesn't justify what they did with
It does
life.
make it impressive, though.
It does.
When you pay attention to how the character of O-Ren gets her power, and she's like the only female Japanese-American person on the council, and the guy speaks out and...
I love that scene.
Cuts off his head, and just...
It just shows it off,
Oh, man.
But and just... The whole thing with those are there are 4 individuals, or the women there, are all messed up in different ways. And they all could have turned out differently, but they all become assassins, and they just become murderers.
And it really sets up that this is a really good, really personal vendetta about this entire movie. And when the whole Crazy 88 scene, what you were talking about, comes up,
love that action
it
scene,
makes it one of the most interesting and impressive fights. And you're right, you do forget that she won this. Yeah. And when she goes to even Hattori Hanzo to get the sword, it's such an amazing scene where it's a matter of respect and interest and humor. And it's like you do feel the weight of this situation. It's more of like you're understanding how much this is going to affect these people. Like Hattori Hanzo took a vow never to do this again. And it's one of those things where when you think about it, it's like, this is big. And this is not just a simple, I'm going to kill everybody. Like, that's what it kind of sets up with the whole house thing. But even then, the little girl, when she kills her mom, she says, if you want revenge, I will see you later down the road. Yeah. And she knows that this is going to affect.
She completely understands,
and then the whole fight happens. And and when it happens, and even when she cuts off her head, I'm not like, oh my god. Like, I'm not laughing. I'm just like...
You're like, that was intense.
Yeah, and it was sharp. And she even says, like, it's like, that was a Hattori Hanzo sword, and she collapses, and I love the use also of silence in that movie, and the use of that water drip thing to indicate blood. I'm like, oh, it's a haunting action movie, one of the best.
What I loved about Volume 2 then is it was a completely different feel from the first one, because the first one was, again, that whole revenge drive. Let's get in and kill everyone, and then everything goes wrong. I mean, the guy doesn't match her with swords. He uses a beanbag shotgun.
And salt rock. Rock salt. Yeah.
Rock salt, right? And just buries her alive. Yeah. And then you have to go through backstory, and then you find out more.
A really good backstory that I didn't think I wanted to learn about was how she learned the punch. I'm like,
that was a great one. Actually, I watched the movie where Tarantino got that. There's a whole movie where it was, I'm not sure what punch, but...
3-inch punch.
Yeah, it was the 3-inch punch, and it's just one guy doing that for like half an hour. Wow. It got a little painful.
Yeah. I can just imagine, though, the ideas that are... This is a very slower film. It's pretty much just as violent, but it's much more violent in terms of its suggestions, in terms of what it brings up, and it's a lot more thought-provoking than the first one was, which was still pretty good. I will say this. Well, I gave the second one a little bit too much credit when I first saw it. I said, oh, but it's so much better than the first one. I saw it. It opens the exact same way. It opens up with the past of the bride scene, and then it opens up again with her actually telling us that she killed Buck and Ellie Driver, and it's like, I'm now on my way to go kill Bill. It's kind of like you're sitting there, you're like,
oh, really?
It does. It's like, did you see it?
Yeah.
No, it's just kind of like, oh.
No,
that was your reaction. I thought that was you, like, wait, I didn't remember that, because I forgot. No. I'm like, oh, right, she did tell us. Yeah. So, wait, is there going to be any tension at all? And there still is. Yeah. There still is tension throughout the entire part.
The whole coffin scene. Just, how intense was that?
Yeah. And I actually felt sorry for Bud, because I thought that Bud was kind of it seems like he just kind of threw it all away, like the whole assassin life, and kind of became a degenerate.
He just became so cynical, and so he gave up on life, and it showed, and he's like, oh, we deserve to die, let's just end it now, kind of thing. Yeah,
that was a good little speech, a good moment. That girl deserves her revenge, and we deserve to die. But what I think was even bigger is the fact that he even told his brother that he pawned his Hattori Hanzo sword. And he doesn't. He just hides it, and it's one of those things where he wants to forget that life.
Well, and he wants to hurt his brother.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. he does care about him, but he doesn't. There's something that broke off between the two of them. And what's really interesting with the whole Ellie Driver scene when she has the Black Mamba in the room, and it kills Bud, and it's like it shows us how evil she is too. I think she's the real villain of this movie.
She is. Well, because when you finally meet Bill, you're like, oh, he's not a terrible guy.
Not a terrible person. I mean, he's done terrible things, sure.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Then, but when she even mentioned like how she killed
her trainer,
Ming Pai, or darn it,
we're so horrible on
it
the
is. There it is.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But no, when she reveals that, I'm just like, oh, you better. And how does she beat her? By ripping her other eye out.
Which makes
no black and white shift, and she's just like screaming and that made me laugh. I laughed so hard.
Because when bad things happen to bad people, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, you only gotta hang mean bastards. I'm jumping ahead too far. But no, and then when in the end of the first one, when you reveal that her daughter is still alive, it's kind of a big reveal. But even when you reveal her real name, it's kind of like, wow, it's still kind of big. I mean, it's not one of those things I kind of forgot was such a huge deal, but it still is. When she goes and she's got her gun out and she goes in, this is where I say to myself, Uma Thurman gives one of the greatest not just female leading performances, one of the greatest performances in an action movie, in any movie ever. That stare-off she has with her daughter when her daughter's got the gun up, I'm kind of scared that she's going to actually accidentally shoot her daughter. Yeah. But I know she won't, but like there's a moment between those two.
Wow, that was... What I think was a great way to end the movie was just, not to end the movie, but end the action in the movie, was how Bill was just ready and willing to accept.
He does kind of fight her off a bit, but when she does the move, there's a moment where he says, you know what, she deserves this.
Yeah. And you're like, again, he's done horrible things, but he's not always a terrible person.
There's no satisfaction I found with this. And when I was a kid and I saw the DVD lying around of Kill Bill, I'm like, I imagine like this guy in the Texas hat, and he's just a bad guy. He's got guns, and he's like, we're gonna be like shooting down people. And I was so surprised with so much about this movie. It was the biggest shock of how good a movie, and I think of how good an action movie should be.
What I really liked about just how he died was it seemed peaceful and tranquil, which was the perfect end because you didn't want her thirsting for vengeance anymore. It was just finally someone who was willing to give her what was hers and took it with grace and just went out.
Yeah, and even when the truth serum scene is a really heartbreaking scene too, because it's kind of like you learn so much about what she had to give up and what she wanted to escape from, and it's the moment where I do find that whole Bill being evil thing is like he's very selfish, but at the same time
he's done horrible things.
She's just as, but in a different way, and
she might be able to get away with it.
Yeah, and she never thought she could, but she thought she at least wanted to try, and she wanted to have her child. And when it ends with them driving off, and it like names all the names of everyone, and it shows her, it says Beatrix Kiddo, a.k.a. the bride, a.k.a. Black Mamba, a.k.a. mommy. That gets me, because I think whenever anything that has to do with parents and family ties is really a tough thing to get done, and I think it's
like, what kind of parent will she be?
Exactly. And I really, if anybody makes a sequel or makes a spinoff, I do want there to be a spinoff of that young black girl that was, her mom died, and I do want that to maybe be a little thing of its own. I don't need it, but I think that would be a really interesting development.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years now that it could happen, and like have, and then maybe have Uma's, and then it asks the question, where does the line end? Yeah. Where does it stop? Where we decide to stop killing